Welcome back to the Earth Intuitive Podcast. Hey, everybody, this is Brittany, and I am the host. This podcast is a hub for sensitive and intuitive women to feel comforted, supported, and whole in their healing journey. We talk about energetic updates. We talk about holistic health, from motherhood to sleep to business. And we do this all through this mind, body, spirit approach to medicine and wellness for a community of women who feel it all. Today, I'm super excited. We are getting into the realm of interview podcasts. And you guys, this is bringing me back to my days as a journalist. I actually majored in broadcast journalism in college. I moved to New York City right after, and I had an internship with Shape Magazine, Equinox editorial team, and really thought that my life was going to be working in magazines. And as we know, a lot has changed since then. I then got into copywriting, moved to the Bay Area, did that for many, many years, and now I'm here. So this is a really cool thing because in journalism school, we learned how to edit videos, and I've been doing this in my work with wellness and marketing for this business. So I really feel like my worlds are intersecting here, and I've been loving talking to other women. This first interview is with dear friend Zoe Kromer, and she is a business coach, a retreat host, and a leader for multi-faceted women. So she really allows and helps women who want to start their own journeys as entrepreneurs and really do so in a way that's personalized and meaningful to them without having to pigeonhole themselves into a specific niche. So this podcast goes into her journey, how she got into entrepreneurship, how she left her jobs working for other people when she got the call to do that, how she made it happen. It talks about giving yourself more permission to do what feels most authentic to you versus what business coaches tell you to do. They're traditionally out there. And we really get more into how to flow with your cycle, how to flow with how you're feeling that day as a highly sensitive woman. So this is a really juicy podcast. If you're curious about starting your own business, if you are in the initial stages of that, if you are wanting to do something that's more aligned with your soul in your day-to-day life, I highly recommend you check this out. Let's dive into the episode. Hello,
Okay.
Zoe. How are you?
Hi, Brittany. Good. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. And where are you calling in from so our audience knows where you're coming in from?
I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, nestled as close as I can get to the mountains. And yeah, tuning in from my bedroom with my dog and my cat. So if there's a little ruffle in the background or a little click, 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 that's that's all it is.
Love having our pet friends with us. It's always so much better. I know you're just coming off of a beautiful retreat. Do you want to just chat about like what it was and just a highlight or something you walked away with? Because I know it was a really special retreat.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so I just got back from hosting an inner child retreat in Sedona. This was my first time bringing this specific vision to life around really creating a retreat that's all about play, silliness, creativity, and like really letting our inner children just out and wild and barefoot and pink tutus on and like really tapping into that part of us. Um, and if I could share like one big takeaway from the retreat, it was just so beautiful when we all put photos of our inner children, like literal childhood photos, on the altar before we started the retreat. And we had just met like 45 minutes prior, and the tears started flowing immediately. And what was so powerful is we all shared our intention for the weekend, and each one of us shared something so unique. Some of us, it was like, as a little girl, I was super funny and silly. And then at some point, I was told to be quiet and be serious. So I'm calling on that funny, silly side to come out. And then other women would share, I've always been shy and I've actually been told to be more strong and out there. And I want to let myself be shy. Like, I want to let myself be quiet and shy and introverted because that's my true inner child self. And so, It was just so beautiful to see how the core qualities of like our soul essence that we can see so clearly when we look at our purest inner child came out in such unique ways for all the women there. And yeah, it was just a good reminder that like inner child healing looks so different for everybody. And it was a beautiful weekend. So,
Hmm. Wow, I love that piece you said about like people wanting you to be louder. And sometimes people are like, but no, this is my truth. And I resonate with that. I'm kind of somewhere in between, but oh, sounds amazing. Sounds so refreshing. And glad to have you back here.
yes, happy to be here.
So, this podcast, we're going to dive into something kind of unique. This is not just about the entrepreneurial journey, that's a lot of it, but it's also through the lens of a highly sensitive woman and why we choose this path and, the hurdles that come with it, the freedoms that come with it, and just any advice, any storytelling along the way. Because I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast do classify themselves as highly sensitive or intuitive or empathic. Maybe they do work a traditional job and they want to get out of it, or maybe they are on the path of, being a creative or entrepreneurial person. So we just want to kind of dive in. And Zoe, I would love to hear your story of like, how this origin story of your business came to be. So maybe we could just start with what were you doing right before you became an entrepreneur? What did that transition look like? Like, what was your life like before this? And what was the catalyst to bring this change about in
Mm.
life?
Yeah, beautiful question. So it's a very slow burn of a journey. There wasn't like one moment. I started entrepreneurial pursuits at 17. Started hosting workshops, like body image workshops for young girls. Started selling my artwork at street fairs and festivals. And I have done like a million different entrepreneurial things. It's part of why I love to talk about being multifaceted now. But I can confidently say that between the ages of like 17 and 18 to 26, so about a decade, I was an entrepreneur on this side. I did my passions on this side while I worked regular quote unquote jobs. And this was a combination of factors, right? Like thinking that there was no way I could actually make a full-time income doing the things I really wanted to do. I think societal pressures after graduating with a degree, like, okay, I've got to get a real job. I've got to, find a single career that's going to stick. And so I was always an entrepreneur, but I always had more of like a 9 to 5-esque job. And the amount of energy that it literally drained out of me. Like looking back, hindsight's 2020. I didn't always know it in the moment, but the life force vitality that was flowing through me when I was working those jobs was so much less than what I have access to now. And I just remember so many times waking up with a knot in my stomach, anxious, dreading to go to work, dreading the day, waiting for the weekend, waiting for the day off, just like living for anything but my work, anything but my job. And to be fair, all the jobs that I had were things that I loved to a degree. It was working in daycares, working with children. I mean, I was actually the manager of a kids yoga studio. Like, how epic. Like, on paper, that was the perfect job for me. I love children. I love to work with children. I love teaching yoga. I love doing yoga. It was like the picture perfect job on paper. And nothing against the studio or anything like that. But to get into a role where I was expected to show up with the same energy every day, live on someone else's schedule for someone else's tasks, um, just fit into the role that was fairly expected of me. No matter how great the job was, there was always a sense of misalignment. And multiple times I hit burnout. At one point, I was actually getting sick like every 2 or 3 weeks. I was coming down with like a terrible cold. It would just drag on. And my body just started yelling at me like, this is not sustainable. You keep jumping from job to job, thinking that a different job is going to fix it. A different job will be the golden ticket. And nothing felt right. And in the back of my mind, I knew I was meant to be an entrepreneur. I knew I was meant to build something of my own, but it felt like to be honest, I didn't believe in myself enough that I could really make it a full-time thing. So it was like passion on the side, paycheck first, even if that means your health and your well-being and your happiness suffers. So that's pretty much my story throughout most of my 20s, bouncing around from job to job, hoping that one would be better. And then I finally realized maybe it's the the structure of these jobs, maybe it's my body, my soul, my spirit literally is rejecting building someone else's dream. Literally is rejecting, this way of living. And I am the first one to like celebrate and uplift the fact that so many women thrive in 9 to 5s. They love their jobs, and I love that for them. I do not think entrepreneurship is better, but if you know it's for you, you will know it's for you. And your body will send those signals. So,
Mm. Oh my gosh. The whole piece about body will send you signals, I resonate with that so deeply. The last year I was really doing a lot of copywriting, which is this actual last year. I gained 20 pounds. I had horrible sleep and stomach issues. I was like angry every day. So it's so funny how like it's almost like we're trying to hold it all together and then our body is so wise and it's like, heck no, you're not doing this anymore. Let me scream until I get your attention. Do you remember if there was like a point, maybe it was a single point, maybe it was just a lot of like chronic colds, it sounds like, where you were just like, I'm done, like, or I get the message now. Like, was there a single point? Was it just a lot of things? Is there anything you can kind of like point to of like when you really just decided to go for it?
I think it was in like my final job that my final quote unquote real full-time job that I had before really diving headfirst into being a full-time entrepreneur. Just remember calling my mom crying on the phone. And I had tried to like switch around my hours at work, and like my boss was being very accommodating to try to make things feel better for me. And it just wasn't working. And I was just crying to her and just like, I don't think life is supposed to feel like this. Why does every day feel like a battle? I shouldn't wake up with anxiety. Like, it was just kind of that moment of really expressing to her how bad I was suffering in this, for many people, dream job, right? If you would have talked to me a decade ago, I would have said that is my dream job. So many amazing qualities about that job. Why am I so miserable? And that's when I realized it's the fundamentals of what I'm doing. Working for someone else's hours, not having control over my schedule, not having control over my pay, things like this that are just not in alignment anymore. So after that, I remember I quit and I started nannying part-time as a bridge because I was like, I don't know, how to make this transition. I'm just going to do something a few days a week that I know I love to do that's a bit more simple while my nervous system settles and I can figure out how I actually want to launch a full-time business and really go balls to the wall. So that was kind of the moment.
Wow. And I want to talk about that bridge because I think it's not talked about enough. Like people are like, just go for it, go for your dreams. It's like, yeah, that's all well and good, but we have bills to pay. We live on the earth. We all have rent. We all have bills. Not everybody has someone to support them. So I think it's important that we sort of slow down that piece right there because it's really important. And you said it right there, like you chose something that was good for your nervous system. You knew it was temporary. Um, I don't know if you want to speak about that time in life. Like, did you feel a lot of fear and anxiety? How did you come about like deciding on that job as a transition? what would you recommend other people who like, let's say they're listening to this and they're like, yeah, I hate my job too. I want to do this one thing, but I don't have the money. Like, what would you like speak to someone to like encourage them or help them feel more supported before they just sort of blindly leap into the unknown without the resources?
Yeah, totally. I will speak on this. I also just want to say I have a podcast on my podcast, The Multifaceted Woman. It's quite a ways back. It's something like if you're thinking about quitting your job and going a full-time entrepreneur, like listen to this first. And I have a deep dive on why quitting with no backup plan works for some people and why it is the absolute worst idea for other people, and how to kind of figure out where you are in that so you can make the best choice for you. I think for the vast majority of people, I'm just going to take the liberty to say that going from having a full-time job to having literally no income, no clients, no customers, just like let's figure it out is not good for your nervous system. It will probably take the thing you love, which is hopefully the business that you're building, and turn it into a stressor, a chore, a weight on your shoulders. Now, there's a certain breed of person that actually thrives really, really well when their back is up against the wall. I actually consider myself to be one of those people. I'm very all or nothing. So I only nannied for 3 months, ended up moving states, moved to a new state, had no job, essentially no income, maybe a few $100s, and went full time. So I more so did the back up against the wall because I thrive under that pressure. And it's just kind of in my personality. But trust your body. Like if you close your eyes and you think about choosing a job 2 or 3 days a week that you like a decent amount, that's relatively low stress, and easing your way into entrepreneurship. If that feels expansive in your body, if that feels like an exhale, do that. There's no shame in it. If that feels like a contraction, if you're like, no, I know myself, I'm going to go all or nothing, I'm going to trust fall and trust the universe will catch me, and I'm accepting the hard parts of that. I am accepting the nervous system stress that comes with that. I'm choosing that fully. Then you can do that, right? But I would say, and I'm just coming up with this number, probably 75% of people, it's going to be healthier to have a bridge so that at least part of your basic needs are covered and you don't go into total nervous system like overdrive. Um, but yeah, if you're a crazy person like me, you might do, you might do it more like me.
Or brave, brave soul.
Crazy, brave, something.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've
Yeah.
definitely experimented with all of those things. Like it's a hard conversation because I continued copywriting because I liked it enough. I was doing freelance. It was flexible. I do it from home. But it's like half my energy is there, or more than half my energy is there. And so I don't have my full vitality to really pour myself into what I really want to pour myself into. Um, and so that was interesting. And I realized after a time when I finally had a supportive partner and actually had like some help, like, oh, I can actually pour all my energy into this now. And it's been really beautiful. So, it really depends on people's circumstances. And also, some people can pour their energy into different places and they can make it work for a while. But it really, I think, just depends on the person. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, and as far as like what to choose, I would say like I don't know. I've had to many times in my journey remind myself I'm not above a job just to pay the bills. A job that you don't hate going to that pays the bills can be the biggest blessing, even if it's not the most challenging, even if it's not the most impressive on paper, even if it's not whatever, like gonna stroke your ego. Like if it is a bridge to get you to your dream life and your dream career, then that is a win every time. Um, oh, there's my kitty.
oh,
Um, and what else was I gonna say? I was just about to say one more thing. Um, Oh, yeah. I think another reason why I could do that is at this point, I had been in the entrepreneurial space, dabbling in many things for 10 years. So I had hosted retreats, I had hosted workshops, I had coached, I had hosted online programs, I had gone and sold physical products at pop-ups and festivals. So it wasn't brand new to me. Like if you've never sold a single thing in your life, that's a whole new skill to learn. So I fully recognize that I was not starting from ground zero. I was starting from a decade of experience. And so that's something to consider too.
Yeah, that's really important. Let's get into like your journey now. Like, so how long have you been doing this full time? Like, what does your day-to-day life look like? Who do you help? Just talk a little bit about your business. I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, totally. So I think I have to just add this in because this was a pivotal point for me. I was sitting there and I was like, how the hell am I going to build a full-time business when I have a million things I love to do? I love to host retreats. I love to coach on confidence. I love to gather women together. I have an interest in supporting entrepreneurs and building their businesses because I've been, dabbling in all of this stuff for 10 years. I love to paint. I love to this. I love to that. How am I going to build a business that fulfills me when there's so many things I love to do? And I had a light bulb moment. I think it was with like a mentor that I was speaking with, and I was explaining this to her, how my whole life I've felt like, so you just need to choose something, you just need to pick something, you're too all over the place. Basically, I thought that my multidimensionality was a problem and that it was holding me back. In hindsight, it was the lack of accepting and celebrating that about me that was holding me back. And once I decided and wrote my own rules of reality that I could build a brand, I could build a business that incorporated everything that I love, that was when stuff started to pop off. That was when the gates of inspiration and motivation just opened because I stopped feeling constrained. I stopped feeling like, okay, I have to just host retreats, or I have to just help women with confidence and self love, or I can only be a business coach. What if you build a brand that is so you, so just all encompassing of Zoe that you get to do all of it and it's not too much? So that was a really pivotal moment for me. So I've been full time a year and 3 months, and I'm doing it all. I support female entrepreneurs. I have a membership for female entrepreneurs. We dive into confidence, pricing, cycle syncing, relationships, all of it, because I take a really holistic approach to business and business growth. I host retreats. I'm starting to host some local events here. I'm going to teach a yoga class at a retreat in a couple months. So like I've built a brand that allows me to feel fully expressed and offer this, offer that, offer this, offer that. And because it's all aligned and because it's all me, it works. And so that's what I love to help women do is figure out, okay, what are all the things you love and how can we build a life and a business around them so you don't feel like you're pigeonholing yourself into, I'm just an artist, I'm just a coach, I'm just this, I'm just that. We live in a digital world that makes personal branding so easy, so fun, and people are actually seeking that depth. People are seeking to know you on a real multifaceted, layered level more than just like the one problem you solve. And so it's quite the time to be alive. And yeah, on a day-to-day basis, I mean, depends what season I'm in. Like the past month or two, I've been deep in retreat planning. Some months I'm more focused on my coaching clients. So it really just depends, but I build it all around my energy, my cycle, which we can get into. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
No, I love it. It's so relieving to hear that because I can't tell you how many coaches out there are like, I don't understand. You got to pick one thing, you got to niche down till you be successful. And I do see how that can be successful, but it's also sort of like, rejecting different parts of you that want to come out. And we are all so multifaceted, and some people more than others. And we want to help people in different ways. So I totally resonate with that. And yeah, like the permission to be able to accept and then express all of you is so important. So I'm so happy you're doing that for yourself and then encouraging other women to do that.
Thank
Um,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
one more thing I just want to say on that because I feel like it's an important distinction. In the past, I definitely fell into patterns of like shiny object syndrome. Like every other week, launching something new, every other week, switching, changing my mind, not seeing my creations, my programs, my events through, not giving them time to grow, not giving them time to grow roots and become solid and have my audience get to know it and like really give it a chance. So, I always talk about this. There's a really big difference between owning your multifaceted nature and letting yourself explore, and also just being like kind of fleeting and flaky and not letting things have their time. So, I'm not telling anyone to launch 50 different things in 1 year. You're going to be burnt out, your audience is going to be confused, and nothing's going to work. But if you're in your business for the long game, if you want to be an entrepreneur for the rest of your life or most of your life, you've got time, right? You've got time to explore all your different passions. So focus on the one or two, maybe even three things, if you're like me, that are lighting you up most in this season and give them a good fucking run. Like give them a good chance, give them time, right? These things take time with knowing you've got your whole life to explore all these different sides of you. So it's a delicate balance, and I just wanted to pop that in there.
that's really true. That's really important. And I think, we live in a culture that everybody's distracted all the time. Going on social media is super distracting. People can't watch like a 60-second video. It's insane. Like what has happened? Kids can't watch like a full TV show anymore. It's all like clips. So yeah, that's really important too, to give things time and space, to be patient, to let things grow in their own time. And I think also just like exploring and expressing different parts of yourself is just a part of the discovery journey when you're getting started. And then you can find out, what do you love to do best? What are you best at doing? And what are other people resonating with you the best? So I think it's like a process too. It can be a really beautiful process of discovering like what is your specialties, like what's your really unique gifts. Awesome. So I want to dive into a little bit more on the sensitivity side and like building your day-to-day life, building your business around being a highly sensitive person, whether that's a daily routine or just how you go about your business that's different than like a structured, normal job, I would say. So anything you want to speak to that and how you've navigated that path.
Totally. The first thing that's coming to mind is I've really had to decondition, if that's the word, I think so, decondition myself from thinking the more hours I spend working, the more success I will have. When you're working for an hourly wage, yes, the more time you work, the more money you're going to make. But when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have to play by that, right? And actually, the most successful, abundant, fruitful days, weeks, months I've ever had in my business, I was actually leaning more into rest. I was leaning more into self-care. I was literally laying in bed when, these sales or these dream clients or whatever came through. And so deconditioning that has been a process, and I'm definitely still in it. But what's beautiful about entrepreneurship is you have the flexibility and the self-sovereignty to say, whoa, I'm feeling tired, or I'm feeling drained, I'm feeling burnt out, I'm not feeling alive, I'm not feeling sparkly, I'm not feeling my best. I'm going to take the morning off, or I'm going to take the week off, even sometimes. I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to, put my phone on airplane mode at 2 p.m. for a few hours. You have that sovereignty to listen to your body, and it's a practice, especially when there's that voice of like, You should be working. It's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. What are you doing? How do you expect to build a business if you're not working right now? Like that voice is loud because we've all been conditioned to work 40, 50-hour weeks is the way to set yourself up for success in life. And if you're not doing that, you're lazy. If you're not doing that, you're slacking. But we create our reality, number one. And also there's a huge awakening happening right now in people and women especially that like that's not sustainable. And with the right strategies, mindset, and energetic truth, you don't have to abide by that rule of reality anymore. And the universe will bend in your favor. It might take some time, but like I said, my highest sales days have always been my most restful days. And that is not a coincidence. I think it's the universe trying to tell me, like, see, it's possible, right? So, I think it's all about finding a balance in tuning into your body's needs on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, honoring those, and also understanding that a business does take work. I'm not one of those business coaches that's going to tell you you can just lay around all day, every day, and things will just plop in your lap. I work hard, and I think that you should work hard, but you should also rest a lot. So, finding that balance and really tuning in on a daily basis, like what is needed right now. Is it some extra sleep? Is it some time away from my phone? Or am I feeling lit up and ready to, put in some hours and work on my business that I love? So,
Hmm. I love that. And I have definitely resonated with that before. Just like if I try really hard, because I know how to work hard too. I'm very ambitious naturally. I can work really hard. I was raised that way. So it's like I know how to do that stuff really well. And it took me many years to like learn how to let go and to surrender. And I think there is something beautiful to the feminine energetics of letting go and surrendering. Like it's a very soft feminine energy that many of us are rediscovering, relearning for the first time, maybe in our lives, because we weren't taught that way. And so when we can drop into that place of like really surrendering, really letting go, really resting, it's a very yin energy. I feel like it brings a sort of balance to the effort and ease. And so when we can have more of that balance, there's more flow, more things can come in. We're not trying too hard. We're not copying everybody else. I need to be doing this, what they're doing over here. You're just listening to your own channel. And that's another thing I want to speak to as well is like, do you have any sort of techniques, practices, rules you live by of eliminating distractions, whether that's like TV, social media, whether that's just comparing yourself to other people, whether that's like using AI a lot or like, because I find myself even no matter what, even if people are telling me what to do, you should do this method. If I just tune into my own wisdom, it's always superior and I'll have like an idea of like something to put out there or who to reach out to. Like you can't replicate that everybody has their own right channel. So maybe you could talk a little bit about like, do you have any sort of like rules for yourself or practices of like staying in your own lane, staying in your own energy as a sensitive person and sort of like having boundaries around what's outside of you and external forces?
for sure. Yeah. I wouldn't say I have any hard rules. It's definitely something that I feel like is a constant evolution. And so I don't really have that down yet. I will just be honest. Like I struggle with that and I'm not afraid to admit it. That being said, a tool that really helps me is breath work. Like every time I'm just feeling like my head is full with so many ideas and shoulds and woulds and coulds and blah, 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 stimulation, dropping into a breathwork practice is the quickest way to bring me back into my body and back into my intuitive center. And then I come out of breathwork and it's like, I know what to do. I know what to post. I know how to move forward. Um, and then more of just like a mindset shift related to kind of the comparison and all the noise of like what you should be doing and what strategy to be taking and all the hubba bubba. Noticing when I'm making myself wrong for my natural way of being and really keeping that in check. That was a huge key for me in unlocking a more magnetic energy, a more authentic energy, a more excited energy about my business is I noticed how often I was making myself wrong. And it was sneaky and subtle. If I slept in, that's wrong. You should have gotten up early, right? But then if I got up early and wanted to get to work, you didn't get enough sleep. um, if I was feeling really creative and lit up, maybe I was like ovulating or just full of, creative energy, and I wanted to post 3 times that day on my feed, and I'm just like a content machine. That's wrong. You're on your phone too much. If I wanted to take a week off posting and just ghost the world, that's wrong. People are going to forget about you. And so that voice of always, this is right, this is wrong, I've really become very aware of that voice. And I've really learned to, I don't know if shut it up, but keep it in its place and not listen to it. And what this does is it allows me to flow with my intuition. And sometimes that is having a very yang day or yang, I don't know exactly how you say it, where you're, out and about, I'm talking to people, I'm networking, I'm posting, and it feels so good. And I'm not going to make myself wrong for it because it feels good. And then a day or a week where I'm really yin, I'm really inward, I'm really feeling that just like feminine, like with myself and not making myself wrong for that either. Letting my body, my intuition, my human design, all of these things just like lead the way, and knowing that there is not one way to success. There is not one path to success. I think so many entrepreneurs walk around feeling like if they could just find the magic key, they would have their 6-figure year, their $1 million year. They would be happy and successful forever. If they could just find the magic key, then everything would be better. There is no magic key. I think the closest thing to a magic key is getting to know yourself really, really well. And anyone that tells you this is the one magic key, I would run. There are keys that work, lots of keys that can work for different people, right? But there's not one universal key to success because we're all built so differently. So I think that is kind of the best thing that I have right now to keep me in alignment and keep me from that place of overconsumption and overwhelm and comparison. And I should be doing this. And well, ChatGPT told me to do this. And that coach on Instagram that's further along in her business is doing this and all that. So that's my advice.
Oh, that was such good stuff. I'll probably clip that one. It was so good.
Yes.
Just like, I mean, and I know this is just, I mean, I'm sure I do it too at times. It's like the nature of social media is like this one thing I do to do blah, blah, blah. And I think that's just what the algorithm likes. So I'm not saying it's bad to do that, but I see it all the time. Like coaches will be like, this is how I made 30K in a month or whatever. And it's like, I've dabbled so much in the coaching world, and you really have to, and it's not about the method. I think it's really about the teacher that you're drawn to. It's about the energy you're drawn to, what's matching with you, what's resonating with you as a mentor, as a teacher, versus like just this one method that's going to work for everybody, and it probably won't, right? So,
Exactly. Exactly.
that's a
And
big,
like it's so different to say this is what got me here versus this is what's going to get everybody here.
right,
You
right.
will never catch me saying that. I will say these are the things that have helped me, but like I got to get to know you for me to give you any suggestions, truly, other than like listen to yourself, know yourself, like all of these things. Like, yeah, it's not that these strategies don't work, but there's 7 billion of us. You know how many different flavors and expressions and just the ways our brain works, we're so vastly different.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And you were kind of talking a little bit about like you have different cycles and season. You said you wanted to touch on like cycles as women because we are so up and down all over the place. And my partner is also an entrepreneur, and he's a very every day's the same. Like 7 days a week, he gets up at like 5:30 in the morning, goes to his computer, he works, he does his thing. It's not like he's working too hard all day long, but he has his routine that's the same every day, all the time, which is beautiful. But that's just how men are. Like if they have that 24-hour cycle. we don't. Like we're different women all the time. So maybe we could speak about that a little bit about, obviously the 9 to 5 is built for men and their men's bodies, working in this different way. And I am encouraged because there are more companies out there. There's more agencies, maybe small companies out there that are allowing women to take off during their cycles or things like that. But I guess from more of an entrepreneurial lens, like maybe you want to speak to maybe your journey or how you plan for or navigate your cycle with how you build your business and your day-to-day activities.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I also have a long podcast episode on this if anyone wants to go deeper, because I could talk about this all day. But in in like short, the way I look at it is, you know, when I'm bleeding and the week or so leading up to bleeding, I don't schedule client calls. I'm definitely not going to host a retreat. I've made that mistake. I accidentally, when I like wasn't super aware of my cycle, hosted a retreat on like day 1 and 2 of my bleed. I was like, you guys go on the hike. Like I literally can't. So I've learned through trial and error things that are very, require a lot of social energy, require me to be on, require my brain to be sharp. I just don't schedule them for that time in my month. And if your cycle's irregular and you don't quite have that, just do your best, like it's not about being perfect. It's just about having as much awareness as you can. And if you need to, like reschedule the call. Like I always tell my clients, I would so much rather us reschedule something because you're bleeding or you're not feeling well than for us to show up and us both not get what we want to get from it. So really clearing my schedule as much as I can during those times and also focusing more on the big picture intuition of my business and my vision. So leaning into like more of my spiritual practices, um, journaling and like reflecting on what's working in my business, what's not working. When women are bleeding, we are very clear intuitive channels more than any other time in the month. And so I often find that I have light bulb moments about big picture stuff like, oh, this program I've been running is actually not feeling good. And like I can finally feel that clearly. So saving that time for more introspection, and it's not like you have to fully take it off, but it's like, what are you doing in that time, right? Are you serving your clients or are you looking at a bird's eye view and letting that clear intuition, like make sure everything's in alignment? And then after my bleed is one of my favorite times, follicular phase, for my business because it's like fresh, new energy, excitement. I'll do a lot of like planning for the month ahead, um, like envisioning what's to come. Like if you could imagine a garden, like I'm planting the seeds for my business that month. This is where I often get inspired to start creating content again, like that creative spark comes back. Ovulation, it's a very short window, but like in and around ovulation is where I am peaking. So, for example, I hosted my last retreat when I was ovulating. Such a good move. Like I had so much energy. I was not nearly as like socially drained as I would be if I had done it in late luteal. So, if you have a big presentation, something that's really high stakes, something that's going to require a lot of you, try to put it in or around your ovulation if you know when that is. Like it's really like if you could imagine like a graph of your energy, like when you're ovulating, like your energy, your creativity for most women, not all women. I know that some people actually feel shitty when they ovulate. I think it might have to do with if you've been pregnant or I don't know. I'm not a hormone expert, but for a lot of women, we feel like so alive and bright and sparkly around that time. So use that to your advantage, right? Schedule the big things for around then and then slowly start to taper off as you get closer and closer to your bleed. And again, like more than anything, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to schedule things when you wish you wouldn't. You're going to be like, oh, damn, I really wish I had hosted this event in a week, right? It's just about learning your body, learning your cycle, learning your business, and slowly, month by month, you'll start to find a flow that works for you.
Absolutely. And that obviously starts with tracking your cycle and just being more aware. And sometimes, like, sometimes like life just happens and we are on our cycles. Like I was literally on a flight to Japan, sick on my freaking cycle. It was a 24-hour day. It was terrible, right? Terrible. And so obviously that stuff can happen and it's just what it is. But yeah, if you can get ahead of things and plan as best you can. And if you need to reschedule, like, I think something that can come up for a lot of women, especially as sensitive women, is they feel that shame and guilt. Oh, I shouldn't reschedule. I don't want to disappoint people. But it's like, maybe just challenge yourself and practice the art of speaking up, practice the art of setting boundaries because your body's going to thank you and you're going to just get better and better at speaking up for yourself. So I think that's something that many just women face. They feel that like, oh, I don't want to disturb people. I don't want to, rock the boat, but it's so important to speak up and to just as best you can take care of yourself. And
Yes.
that's a big one.
And it's going to inspire the woman or the person on the other end too. Like, I've had clients tell me, like, I love when you reschedule because you're not feeling your best. Like, granted, if I was doing it every other session, no, that's something to look at. But like, you're giving other women permission to also put their body first. And that's what I think we need. It's like a ripple effect of, wait, I'm allowed to do that. Like, I'm allowed to put myself first in that way. And the product, whatever it is, whether it's a podcast or an interview or an event or whatever, is going to be so much more, mm, you're going to be so much more proud of it if you are coming at it from an energy of like alignment and excitement. So when you can, yeah,
Hmm.
reschedule.
That's just listening in. Oh, this has been so amazing. Is there any final thoughts you have or anything we didn't get to today that you want to make sure people know about being an intuitive, sensitive woman, starting a business, entrepreneurship, anything that we didn't cover or any words of wisdom you have to kind of like close this out with us?
Mm. Um, Follow your joy. I think that is just the best advice I can give. Follow the things that feel so natural to you and so much fun to you that there might be a voice that's like, wait, I can really do that. I can really charge for that. I can really create that. I can really make a business out of that. That is like, it feels almost illegal because you love it so much. It feels like naughty almost that you love it so much. It feels like rebellious that you love it so much. That is what I want you to follow. And if it takes a while to figure out what those things are, trust the process. Like, I'm so grateful for every twist and turn in my journey, every time that I pivoted or picked something back up, right? Like, I did coaching for a while and then stopped when I got my manager position. And now I coach pretty much full time, right? So give yourself permission to have your process, have your chapters, figure it out. And if it's messy, it probably means that you're on the right path. Like, just trust the process no matter how messy it feels, no matter how long it feels like it's taking. Just don't give up. Keep aligning to your joy. Keep leaning into those growth edges. And before you know it, one day you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it, right? I'm building something that I once dreamed of. Um, and yeah, I'm here to support anyone that's listening to this and is like, I want that. I need help. I don't know what I love. I don't know how to fit it all. Like, I'm here for you. That's my favorite type of client to support. And yeah, you got this.
Hmm. Such good words, such wise words. And I think there's that saying, like, when you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I know that when I'm doing stuff for my business, even if I'm not making money on it, it's creative, it's fun, I love it. I don't care that it takes me a long time to do because I feel like it's like play for me. And that's where we want to get. Obviously, not everything about your business is going to feel playful. But if the majority of the time you're loving it, you're feeling filled up, like you're in the right lane. So
100%.
yeah, good words of wisdom. And then how can people work with you, find you? Do you want to just kind of share more about your offerings there?
Yeah, so I will make sure that my Instagram and my website is in the show notes. Those are definitely the best two places to connect with me. Something that I'm really lit up about is my membership for entrepreneurs. So I have a collective, a business collective called the Rosebud Business Collective. And it is a beautiful collective of female entrepreneurs that are most of them sensitive, highly sensitive, creative, spiritual, soul-led, on the mission to build a business that is more than just a business, right? It's like a soul calling. And within our collective, we have bi-weekly Q&A, so you get coaching from me twice a month. You get business trainings, so much like sisterhood support and just like such uplifting, nourishing energy because this journey can be confusing. It can feel lonely. It can feel isolated. So much will come up on this path. And so having like a core group of women that get it and are on a similar path it's everything. So yeah, check that out. I would love to have anyone inside there. And then I also have a retreat that I'm hosting in Park City, Utah, just like 30 minutes from my house, this October. It's like a fun, girly mountain getaway retreat where we're going to do hiking and relax in the hot tub and have a sound bath and do yoga and just a weekend to enjoy and have fun and unwind. So if that's more your vibe, check that out as well. And yeah, listen to my podcast, tune in. And I'm excited to have you in my world.
Yay. Thank you, Zoe. Thanks for coming on. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And we'll have a new episode next week. Have a great week, y'all.
Amazing. Thank you. Bye.